You know, it's something we all just take for granted. This invisible force that keeps our feet planted firmly on the ground, that keeps our entire world from flying apart. But what if, for just a moment, it stopped? Okay, let's dive into this wild thought experiment and see what would really happen if we lost gravity for just 5 seconds.
I mean, really let that sink in. Not a slow fade, but like someone just flips a switch. Off. The consequences would be immediate, and honestly, way more violent than you could probably ever imagine.
Okay, so before we actually flip that imaginary switch, let's take a quick second to get grounded, no pun intended, in what we're actually talking about. What is this fundamental force that pretty much governs our entire existence?
That phrase, cosmic glue, is just perfect. Because it's not just the reason you don't float out of your chair. It's the reason we have a planet to sit on in the first place and, air to breathe. It holds the entire solar system together, it controls the tides, it literally shapes everything around us.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. We see astronauts floating around in space and think, hey, that looks kind of fun, but we almost never stop to think that without gravity holding us down, our world would be completely, utterly helpless. So, you ready for this? Let's start the clock. 5, 4,
3, 2, 1. Click. The switch is flipped. And for these first 2 seconds, the world doesn't just gently float. No, it is violently, instantly, launched into absolute chaos.
So, why so violent? Why aren't we just peacefully drifting? Well, it's because the Earth doesn't stop spinning. Not for a second. Right now, it's rotating at a blistering 1,600 kilometers per hour at the equator, and gravity is the only thing pinning us to the surface. You take that away, and we basically just get shot off a planet-sized slingshot.
And what's the result of that launch? Get this. In the mere 5 seconds that gravity is gone, you and everything else not literally bolted to the planet's bedrock would be flung 2.3 kilometers sideways. That's almost 1.5 miles. In 5 seconds. Can you even picture that speed?
So we're talking about total, instantaneous upheaval. It's not just people and cars and animals suddenly airborne. Imagine the oceans, the rivers, the lakes, no longer held down. They're launched too, creating these unimaginable, monstrous waves of water just hanging in the air. Meanwhile, anything with deep roots, like skyscrapers, starts to buckle and collapse from the sheer force.
And just as you're trying to process the horror of what's happening on the surface, the very planet beneath our feet begins to fall apart. In the next 2 seconds, the catastrophe goes from an environmental disaster to a truly existential one.
This is where a deadly chain reaction kicks in for every living thing. First, our atmosphere, which is only held here by gravity, just poof, immediately expands out into space. That causes a catastrophic drop in air pressure, which would instantly rupture the inner ears of any creature still alive. And, of course, no atmosphere means no oxygen. Suffocation begins.
But the destruction doesn't stop there. Oh no, it goes much, much deeper. See, gravity is what's constantly squeezing the Earth itself together, keeping that super hot, super pressurized core in check. You take that squeeze away, and the planet itself begins to, well, it starts to swell and expand like a balloon.
And this planetary swelling would just rip the Earth's crust to shreds. We're talking about earthquakes on a scale we can't even comprehend. This, in turn, would trigger massive volcanic eruptions all over the globe. So now you can add molten lava to the terrifying list of things currently flying through the sky. Just insane.
And then, just as suddenly as it left, click. It's back. The 5 seconds are up. Gravity has returned. But if you think this is a good thing, think again. This isn't a moment of relief. This is the grand finale. The final, brutal act of destruction.
Everything. The people, the cars, those mid-air oceans, the flying chunks of lava, everything stops its sideways flight and is violently yanked straight down. The impact would be beyond catastrophic. It'd be like a global-scale meteor shower, except the meteors are us. The entire surface of the planet would become a smoking wasteland of impact craters.
Let's just put this into perspective. Our world with gravity has a stable core and crust. After 5 seconds without it, massive non-stop earthquakes as the planet recompresses. We have calm oceans. They'd have global tsunamis as all that airborne water crashes down. We have a breathable atmosphere. They'd have violent, super destructive winds as all that air slams back to Earth. And grounded structures? Nope, just widespread impact craters. It's a completely different, uninhabitable world.
Wow. Okay. So after that terrifying 5-second tour through absolute chaos, what's the big takeaway here?
Well, it's pretty simple, really. It's about having a whole new level of appreciation for this invisible force we never, ever think about.
When you really boil it down, this whole thought experiment just proves one thing. From holding our air in place to literally holding the ground beneath our feet together, gravity isn't just some boring law of physics. It is the silent, constant guardian of life as we know it. And all it would take is 5 seconds of it being gone to remind us of that in the most brutal way possible.
And that kind of leaves us with one final big question, doesn't it? We've just seen how critical one invisible force is. So what other fundamental forces or rules or systems are out there right now quietly holding our world together that we just walk around completely oblivious to every single day? Something to think about.